Hi, and welcome to Leading Change. This is actually a segment of Leading More Change with the Wellness Sherpas, Debbie Giancarelli and Tara Seeger. We are here today with colleague and friend now, Khadija Douglas, who is a naturopathic doctor. So we are so excited to talk about holistic health and to talk about how this is really becoming foundational in our holistic medical care moving forward.
Absolutely.
So welcome.
Yay, thank you so much for having me.
And
the Wellness Sherpas, I love that.
and Khadija is runs and owns the practice Infinite Wellness.
Yeah, with my partner, Antoine Simons.
Okay, and he'll be on the next segment with us. By the way, this is a two-part segment today, so we're really excited. So welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about the journey. How do you end up here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always knew at a young age that I wanted to be a doctor. And funny enough, I was telling my mom in preparation for this that I was going to be on TV, and she pulled out a sign, the same sign, that said Dr. Khadija Douglas. So at a young age, I knew I had one of those name placards that said Dr. Khadija Douglas. So I knew that medicine was what I wanted to do.
Yes.
High school, did all my sciences. I did pre-med classes in university. I wrote my MCATs, but I was burnt out at the end of my bachelor degree.
Yeah.
Burnt out. I had put on more than the freshman 15. It was like more like a freshman 50, if I'm being really honest. I gained tons of weight. I was just tired. So I decided that I was not going to enter med school. I wanted to take some time off. And I also, during that time, didn't feel like conventional, traditional medical doctor was what I wanted to do. So in my time off, I ended up really transforming my own health. So I had struggled with anxiety, I had depression, and I had my real first severe anxiety attack when I was about 23, 24. It left me hospitalized. And the doctor was like, oh, you just have depression, take these pills and it'll be okay. Right. And that's what they know, and I can't fault them. That's what they know.
That's right.
But I know that when I was on them, I was a zombie. I wasn't myself, and I really wasn't living a happy life at all.
And you're not healing because you're not even getting really to the root.
I'm just waking up and just going through life. So in comes my yoga practice, which was so instrumental in really transforming and shaping how I look at health and what health really is. And health doesn't have to just be a one-size-fits-all, take this prescription and you're okay. So through my yoga practice, I started doing morning boot camp. I learned about nutrition. Huge. I don't think we give nutrition enough credit, but nutrition changed and shaped a lot of what I was doing. And then from there, I started hearing words like naturopathic doctor, naturopathic medicine, homeopathy, holistic healing. And I was like, what are these words? So I ended up attending a seminar after seeing the same sign on a train. And I don't know if people believe in signs, but I swear I got on this train every day for a good 2 weeks, and it said, do you want to be a healer? Do you have a passion for medicine? Do you want to get to the root cause? And you know when something just speaks to you?
Synchronicity.
I was like,
absolutely. It's God in the universe talking right to you.
And it only took me two weeks to realize it, but I ended up signing up for a seminar Friday night. Saturday morning I attended it in New York City, and I heard administrators speak. I heard other naturopathic doctors that are practicing talk about what they do, students that were studying, and I was like, okay. This is it.
It's the calling.
That's what I'm doing. Went home, researched, Googled it. There are only 8 accredited naturopathic medical schools in North America. So I was like, okay, one's in my hometown, Toronto, and I'm going to apply to the other one that really spoke to me at this talk, which was in Tempe, Arizona. I ended up flying out on a Thursday night, interviewed Friday morning. I thought I tanked my interview because I left bawling in tears, and I was like, they're never gonna pick me. That Tuesday, I got my acceptance letter. The Wednesday, I had another interview for the school in Toronto. Now I had the decision, do I stay in Toronto? Do I go to, Arizona? And my mom, who is a huge influence in my life, was like, Kay, Toronto is your home. Like, we're not going anywhere. There's planes.
Right.
Go away. And best decision ever, because in Arizona, naturopathic doctors are considered primary care. We diagnose. I do ICD-10 codes. We work with insurance companies. So my experience and all of the opportunities that I had were 10 times more than what I would have had I stayed home in Ontario, where naturopathic doctors aren't considered primary care. I'm not writing prescriptions.
Right.
So my training in Arizona was a 4-year degree program. Intense.
Yes.
So you have to have a certain grade, requirement to get in there. And now a lot of schools are asking for the MCATs.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, you don't really know medicine, but our first 2 years is modeled after medical school. Anatomy, spend a year in a cadaver lab working on cadavers, physiology, biochemistry. I learned pharmacology. We learn, I think it's on our pharmacology exam, it was about 220 drugs that we were tested on.
Wow.
Plus, then I have to know all of the other alternative things, right? I have to know if a patient is taking this blood pressure medication. I can't give this herb. So we have to know drug-drug interaction, drug-herb interactions. I learned Chinese medicine, cupping, acupuncture, but Chinese herbs, nutrition, like I said, bread and butter of what I do. There's not one client that I know that does not get any kind of dietary recommendation when they meet me, because Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, what were we doing before Wendy's and Chipotle? Like, we were planting our food, we were growing it, we were out
harvesting,
there, right?
But I feel like in Western medicine, we're ignoring that.
Yeah.
We're treating the symptoms, and that's it. We're not getting into, I mean, again, you think about what you're putting in your body, how your body is metabolizing.
Right.
And in Western medicine, we're not spending a lot of time on that.
We're not.
No. So we're missing it. So this, in my opinion, right, holistic is all of it.
Yeah.
It's Eastern, Western.
It is. And so that's why I love what I do. I get to make customized wellness plans for every single patient, and it's not a one-size-fits-all with me.
Nor should it be.
Because when people come in, they're at different stages in their wellness journey.
Absolutely.
So I can't give one person an entire sheet of things to do, and they're already anxious.
Yeah.
We have to, week by week, we build, month by month. We add on, and as you get better, we take things away, we improve, we enhance. So I always tell my patients that I work with, listen, there's no Band-Aids here. It's going to take some hard work. It's going to be an uphill battle, but I'm always rooting for you, because I'm always going to cheer you on, because I want you to get better. Right? Like, my goal is for you to live your happiest, healthiest life. That's really what we're here to do. Inspire you, empower you. So that's what I do, and that's what I love about what I do. And I work with people of all ages, all conditions, and it's always a different plan of attack.
Well,
it's whatever it's in front of me.
Yeah, right. And we're individuals that have experienced so much. Individually as a person, that we couldn't possibly be a cookie cutter. Right? There couldn't be a cookie cutter solution.
Right.
Which is what I love about this work. Because it really, when you think about all the testing in traditional medicine, and you're just kind of shooting at this big generalized population. And with this, you're really getting into, and again, we talk about this even from like a spiritual practice perspective.
I feel like we talk about it every day.
We talk about it every day,
because
meeting
it does
people
affect
where
you.
they are.
Everything affects you. Your mental, your mind, your body, everything, your spirit. So if we're not looking at all of that, as you said, then we're really not being fair to ourselves. And it's kind of like we have to give ourselves permission and feel valued enough that we deserve it. Because I think that's one of the hardest things, is that, listen, it's an investment of time. It's an investment of money. It's a big commitment.
It is.
So you need to be ready for that. And you need to be able to say, I'm ready to step up into it and take it seriously. Because listen, otherwise then it is a Band-Aid, right?
It is.
Even with the natural.
And my goal is not to have people taking 20, 30 supplements. Because it's no different than taking 20, 30 pharmaceutical prescriptions. My goal is, if you need it once in a while, take some echinacea, take some elderberry. But let's get your body to a point where it can do what it can on its own. And when we need to, let's add the healing power of nature in there. Let's sprinkle it in there. But like you said, I look at everything, mind, body, like everything. If someone has a mental block when they come in, we have to talk about that, because that's an obstacle.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, if someone comes in and they're anxiety-ridden and overwhelmed, you're not going to throw 20 things at them, right? You have to start with one thing and help them move past that. Which again, I think, you know, that customization I don't think we see traditionally. But you,
or the connection.
You work, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The connection. I think people are missing the connection.
Yeah.
I know when I go to the doctor, they come in with a, you know, iPad and they say, okay, oh yeah, I think you have this. Here, I'll write you a script, and that's it. I'm like, okay. Nobody even asked me how I was, or I had recent blood work, and I showed it to them. Well, we don't really want to look at that.
Or what's going on in your life?
Yeah.
You know, from a stress, trauma perspective, you know, people are, you know, suffering with so many different things. Everything from, you know, children to, you know, caring for sick parents. I mean, right, there's a whole host of things. Overstressed at work, et cetera,
Even just when they come in the evenings, how was your ride to my office?
Right.
Like, how are you, because it's traffic.
Right.
You're someone cuts you off, someone runs the red.
Right.
Your cortisol, you're sky high. Your blood pressure's now 30 points higher than normal.
Yeah.
So let's just take a few minutes before we start.
Yeah.
Let's take some deep breaths.
Right.
Tell me about your weekend.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it from there.
Right, yeah, because if you're my husband, in that traffic, let me tell you, he's coming in with the red face, he's been screaming and yelling. Obscenities, don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, one thing I want to mention, which I think is really important, because even as we've been segueing some of our work on the organizational change side of things, and working with people around behavioral change for so many years, and we're working in an organization where the impression or the expectation is that people are going to move like an amoeba, right? Yeah. But what we've found over the years is that's not true, and people move at an individual pace through change, right? So just kind of aligning those two things, and us working with people in an individual as well as collective perspective, realizing that they're suffering and there are gaps, and right. So we've segued into really thinking about, you know, getting involved in wellness and getting deeper in that. But I've had people say, oh, okay, well, you guys are getting involved in holistic wellness and spirituality and all these other practices. Does that mean you don't believe in medicine? And, you know, and when we talk about, you know, holistic or naturopathic remedies, do you, is it that you don't believe in westernized medicine? And no, that's not the case.
That's not the case.
Right? The interesting piece is that synergy. And you mentioned to us that you work with doctors, and which I think is, you know, again, that's a team, right?
And I think everyone, so when you look at, so I love sports, and my friend was like, all great athletes have coaches, they have a team. They have their physiotherapists, they have their cooks. So why can't you, who is just as deserving, have a team, have your MD, have your acupuncturist, have your naturopathic doctor, and all of us work collectively to support you. So I have lots of clients that I will say, hey, if you want me to be your primary care, awesome. If not, cool, choice is yours. For those who continue to see their MD, I always reach out.
Yeah.
Say,
and what is that like when you reach out?
Oh, it depends.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's like anything else.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
I have some medical docs that are extremely open and like, oh, that's awesome, cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to pass it on to my next patient.
Right.
Then I have some that are like, oh, phooey.
Yeah.
And I just take it with a grain of salt because it's not a personal attack against me.
No.
That's their training.
Right.
So I never fault them. That's, you know, my training is to look at everything.
Right.
And that's their training. So, you know, that's just differences of opinion. I don't take it personally. I will support my patient however and in whatever capacity they want me to.
But I think that's where a patient has to make a decision also, right? Because I was in a situation like that where I was working with someone on the nutritional side.
Right.
And then I had this blood work done and everything, and I took it to the doctor and I said, I want to talk to you about this. And he was like, yeah, well, I really don't get into that. And I just looked at him and I said, why? And he said, well, you know, nothing against those type of people or doctors, whatever. He said, but, you know, we look at things from a different perspective. He said, you know, you can't give up on traditional medicine. I said, yeah, but I'm not wanting to give up on traditional medicine. I just don't want to be loaded with pharmaceuticals every time, and I'm not getting better. I'm trying to figure out what the root cause is.
Right.
And it was kind of shut down. So obviously I changed that doctor. But it was hard to find a doctor that was open to listening to that.
They're out there.
Yeah.
They are.
One summer I spent back home in Toronto, I worked with an MD, and he did family practice. And on Wednesdays, he spent his afternoon at an like a retirement senior home, and it was like walk-in hours for the seniors. So, you know, in 3 hours, we would be seeing 60-something patients.
Right.
And he was extremely open. He'd be like, Khadijah, what do you think we should do for this lady and her blood pressure? What do you think we should do with this person and her medications?
Which is so great.
Do you think, like, what would you recommend? And he really was extremely open. So it meant a lot to me that he was like, I'm a third-year med student, and you're asking me what to do. Like, no, I only read about this. But he was open to it, and he didn't just, okay, whatever.
Right.
So I was really appreciative. And anytime I come across people that, regardless of what profession you're in, and we share that same like-minded, we just want people to be better.
Right, right.
Like,
that's our goal.
That's our goal.
Right.
Then I'm like, yeah, like, we're going to do this.
Right.
So I'm all for it. Collaboration there's nothing wrong with that. There's no I in team.
No.
No man's an island.
Right, right.
So when it comes to your health, why should it be that way?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're right. You do need a team. In more than one way.
Yeah. Well, it takes a village, right?
It does take a village.
It does.
And
it does.
I think, you know, it makes me think about what a calling we have to really educate people, right? Because at the end of the day, the consumer, the patient, is really in the driver's seat. And so educating, you know, individuals about some of this work is part of our goal, right? And then, you know, they can also choose their team.
Right.
So I think I'm starting to see more of a shift with some folks whereby now they're actually going for a second, you know, visit or a second, you know, I'm having a brain blank, but like a second opinion. Thank you. Because now they're knowing that, hey, this is my health and I can do this. So I think it's great. Slowly starting to see the mind shift. Coming from the West Coast where it's
totally different.
It's totally different.
Much more respected, way ahead of us.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I get the chance to be in a room or speak with people just to share what I do and maybe help to debunk some of the myths that they might have around what I do and, you know, sharing with them that, no, I have this training. You know, we do rigorous board exams, you know, 3 strikes and you're out. You know, they're not kidding around when it comes to your grades. If you can't get it together with your herbs and your pharmacology, you know, so
that's a lot to learn.
It is.
It really is, and it's really 2 different worlds. I mean, you've got to stay up on many things in addition to your own practice techniques.
Right.
So how do you do that? Like, because everything changes, obviously.
It does.
What is that like?
So for me, I'm licensed in the state of New Hampshire, and so with that, I have to have a certain amount of continuing education credits in pharmacology, and now because of the opioid epidemic, I have to have a certain amount of continuing education credits in pain management, and pain medication, because that's a whole other beast in and of itself.
So from a holistic perspective, give us just an idea, like how...
So for me, it's you know, webinars, conferences, reading. I pretty much started my day reading like some type of journal. I just was reading one today on progesterone and how it binds to certain GABA receptors, which is why it can mimic the effects of like an anxiety medication versus testosterone. Like, so, you know, just staying on top of it and the different receptors in the brain. So that's, you know, that's for me. And I know that by doing it, I'm bettering myself for my patients. So that's my motivation behind it.
And you do work around hormones too.
I do.
Yeah, which is huge.
I do.
Oh, I'm saying that, right? Because I'm over 50. It's huge.
We're all sweating. Whatever.
Well, hormones are so important.
Yeah, it really affects everything. And then when I just heard you, you know, mentioning anxiety and different things, it's like, oh my gosh.
Right. And children
it
too.
mimics things
and
in
even
your body.
children.
A lot of people don't know that, but children get misdiagnosed.
Absolutely.
Children make hormones.
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
It might not be the rate of, you know, their 22-year-old counterpart, but children make hormones. There's cortisol, there's insulin, we make hormones, thyroid hormones. So they make it. I think sometimes people think hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and that's it. But we have about 70 different hormones in our body. And some of them start from the day that conception occurs, right? So we need all of those. That's what makes you who you are. So children have hormones, like you say, misdiagnoses all the time.
So they can have hormone imbalance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it makes me wonder too, like we talk about this all the time from a, so just the depression, anxiety, overwhelmed. I mean, you know, you have kids on antidepressants at very young ages.
Yes.
what the heck?
What the heck? And I started to see a trend, especially around finals and exams, where children were coming in and parents were like, well, they want to up their dose. And I'm like, up their dose? They're already on 2 medications. There's no upping the dose. Let's talk about diet. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about,
That's our Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know, you get sick, you go, you get medication, and then you're better, and that's it. You never hear about it again until the next 6 months, and then you're back there again, and they're giving you double the dose. So nobody's really getting cured or diagnosed or getting to the root problem of why is this person having this all the time.
Yeah.
And we just have to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
You know, I think we had this conversation growing up today as a teen or boy, hats off to you guys because there's a lot.
Yep.
So let's just have these conversations about it. You know, yes, some people might need Xanax or an antidepressant. Okay. But when we start talking about children who are 13, 14, and now they're on 3 prescriptions and they're still...
Well, they're still not getting any better.
Well, then we're not doing the work.
Right.
We're giving the medicine, which I think can maybe help get you to a calm place where you can start dealing with root cause.
No tools,
but
no
we're not taking it that next step. And there's just so much that's going on from a society perspective. And... yikes. Yeah. It's a lot. It really is. It really is. So when, you know, as we continue to talk about this and really continue to learn about, you know, some of these other remedies, really, and you know, healing components, I think it's great for people to have another avenue. Because I also want to talk about, and we have a little bit of time left, but talk about real quickly, if you could, the effects of pharmaceutical, you know, in our body, the effects of antibiotics, and really what that's doing to us.
People are going to hate me, eh?
Yeah, do it. No, it's truth, right? We need to talk truth.
What we're seeing now, and what I learned, you know, in our micro classes, is a lot of these antibiotics they're not working like they used to, and now we're having all these super bugs developing because these bacteria are now becoming resistant.
Absolutely.
And so what I've seen, and this is just from shadowing and reading, we're just throwing antibiotics at anything that we think is a cold, and we have to remember antibiotics attack bacteria. So if it's a viral infection, which a lot of kiddos often get, they're not going to work.
No.
You know, I always, if you have to take an antibiotic, take a probiotic with it at the same time.
Right.
Because
we're wrecking our microbiome.
They're wrecking our microbiome. That antibiotic is going to go in there and wipe things out, and then we don't replenish.
Right.
So take it if you have to take it, absolutely. But let's talk about replenishing with a good quality probiotic.
Right.
Let's add some foods in there that are also fermented.
Yeah. I think it's so critical. And we're not getting that piece of it. When we are handed that script, we're not being told the effect that has. And, you know, God forbid, like we've mentioned, you're on 2, 3, 4, you know, within several years. What's the effect of that?
Right.
You know, and then we're experiencing years later all these, you know, horrible issues.
Well, the gut problems.
Insides of
and the gut is huge because there's that gut-brain connection, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're, you know, 70, 60% of your serotonin receptors are made in your gut. So if you have a kiddo that's had antibiotics more than 5 times in their life, imagine their poor gut biome.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's bad. Well, and then again, right? And then they're in their 20s or 30s, and it doesn't repair itself by itself without some
in addition to poor nutrition also.
In addition to poor nutrition.
Everybody's on the go. People don't eat at home anymore. There's not a lot of cooking that goes on.
Yeah, what is the quote? We're the most overfed, undernourished country in the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Or, you know, maybe not the
And it's
world,
always funny having the conversation with nutrition around people, and some people don't realize.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't think that was real takeout. No, takeout is takeout. Yeah. You didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, but that's still healthy. Well, okay, but it's still takeout.
Yeah.
Like, we have to break it down.
Yeah, do you know what went into it?
Do you know what went into it?
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm guilty. I'm busy. You know, sometimes I do. But when you go, let's talk about how you can make healthier choices.
Yeah, and how you can prep a little differently.
And how you can prep a little differently.
Yeah, preparation is everything.
Like, we only have one body. Let's try to, like, take care of it as best as we can. So I'm all about giving you tips, easy things to do so you can implement. I want to give my patients and clients enough tools in their toolbox so that once I discharge them, because I discharge people once they've gotten to a point, that you're good to go.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, we don't need to be patients for lifelong.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, which is great. It's nice to know that, you know, but then you're always there. Well, this is the first of a two-part segment, so so stay tuned for our second half, because we're going to be going through some things in a real effective manner to kind of show how we test for some of this, you know, on a nutritional and microbiology level, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Before we close out, tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So our business is Infinite Wellness. We are located in Warrington, which, if you're here in Jersey, just south of New Hope, which I think most people are familiar with. Our website is www.myinfinitewellness.net. You can find us on social media, Infinite Wellness, Facebook, Infinite Wellness, or call our office, 267-217-3480.
Awesome. All right, stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks.